how's it going? Getting a little robot head together here. The thing I like about working with cardboard is that over the years of creating characters, doing different character builds and designs, is that if you use cardboard, it's lightweight, and especially if you're building robots, it's lightweight. You can paint it to look like metal, and how's it going? Like I was saying, you can paint it to look like metal. It's lightweight, easy to move, and you get a lot of like movement out of it. Doing good? The other thing is it's relatively easy to work with cardboard and kind of build out different shapes to make different character. One of the things that I learned about in school was just working with different shapes to kind of create different types of characters, kind of evoke different emotions out of people. And working on this current little robot character, the thing that I want to keep in mind is just having a unique shape. And I don't know what color I'm going to use yet, or I'm just kind of playing around with the build and getting more experience with using cardboard, because I did this guy, barcode, and it was so effective. And after I was working on the build and I got him on here, and he started gaining a little bit of celebrity right away. There was a guy who was like, a huge fan of him right out of the gates. You should show how you built him, and you should build more robot characters like that. I was like, okay. So it was kind of cool to just, you know, do what I thought was going to be a one-off, but then seeing as how easy it was to work with cardboard and, you know, just making eyes. These obviously are just little toilet paper holders that are cut out, and playing with the different shapes and seeing like, oh, this looks like a visor, and that gives him a certain personality, and you're able to like work really quickly to come up with something that has a lot of function, a lot of emotional connection, obviously with different people. It's kind of exciting to be like, okay, well, that's a starting place. This is the very first puppet that I've built out of cardboard. And if it's already effective, just doing that one, I should do another one. So this will be the next iteration, and using kind of what I learned on the first one and trying to improve things will be fun. But I already with this one, what I'm learning is, I think next build, I'll make less cuts, take a bigger sheet of cardboard that's big, and then make incisions on it and fold. So I get to learn more about origami, I think, in order to build out the shapes with specific cuts or with a template beforehand, so I don't have to glue as much. Gluing works fine, but it's you have to kind of layer in order to get more strength. Whereas if you were just cutting, that strength is already built within the seams where you're not cutting and you're just folding. A fold is always going to be a stronger joint than a cut. Cut you're going to have to glue over, but we all learn as we go. So I'm just going to be working on this for a while. Hope you guys have a good morning. To answer the question of what am I making, I'm making a robot, and it's out of cardboard. So the ultimate goal is always to create stories, to tell stories. This character is going to be puppeteered with the goal of eventually having him in a story. So that's a basic head, and that'll be his mouth. So he'll be able to move like that. Here's an example, as I was mentioning, here's an example of a built character, very simple. We ended up calling him Barcode. And as mentioned, he became kind of a rock star. Some of the people that were seeing him move around, and you know, after doing audio effects over the top of it, they really liked him. And so I'm just trying to take what I learned on this first one and then add it to the next one. Don't fall. I don't know, what kind of eyes should this guy have? Round ones, maybe like a square visor. His head has got kind of already these, looks like an opportunity for like a visor, but if you do that, you kind of think of like RoboCop or more menacing characters, and the idea going into this one was to create a character that was a little bit more lovable. So I think a better thing to do is since we have kind of like these blocky shapes, kind of a wide mouth, which like that automatically would make you think about like a caveman or kind of like a more dangerous character, and that wasn't the original intent. Maybe we offset it with like big round eyes to make them look friendly. The bigger the eye, the more friendly the character. So maybe we do that. Oh, oval. Yeah, that would be good. I am experienced in character design. I'm constantly pushing myself with like new materials. So I've only, as mentioned before, I've only done one full puppet with cardboard. I've done creature masks. I have written and directed a feature film, which featured it was a 8-foot Sasquatch. And so storytelling and this sort of thing has been a long journey for me. But I think kind of working with this material is an advancement of all the things that have led up to this point, because if you start using cloth and some materials that they look real good, but they're hot, they're heavy, especially if you have to wear them. And depending on the story that you're creating and what the comfort level is of the actor that might have to wear this thing or perform with it, it's a balancing act between comfort and then how it looks sometimes. And as I've been working with cardboard, the excitement is coming from it being lightweight. It's comfortable. You can build out the different pieces really easy, and design becomes fun simply because you are able to work so quickly, have a certain shape in your mind, and achieve relatively good results for cheap. So this whole thing is just built with, a cardboard box, making cuts, and hot glue to put it together. So I think even just looking at this paper cup that I'm using for, paintbrushes and water, that's a good shape, that's a good size, potentially for an eye. That could look pretty good if we got 2 of those, cut them out, and then the bottom of it. And that's also another thing, is that I've done a helmet on one of my movies that had LED little laser light thing that you can pick up on Amazon for relatively cheap. I think it was like $12 and you get all of this LED wire. That would be kind of cool to have these round shapes, and then to have, you probably wouldn't want to have red because then you think it's like a bad robot, but like maybe blue, green, or I don't know, orange, or something that feels a little bit more welcoming to the character. That could be cool to backlight it with that, or have like little diodes or something in there. kind of cool if it ran all the way on the side of the head. Yeah, that would be cool. How far in? Somewhere like that. So now what I'm trying to do is ballpark how far, because I kind of like the idea of him having eyes that have like these channels that run alongside the head, and then but it would like cut into the head itself. So then I'm getting the benefit of these shapes, which I think look really cool once it's all spray painted a different color. But it would look cool if it was on the side. I mean, that wasn't something I was originally thinking about, but just kind of looking at it, I'm like, ah, that would look cool. Almost like jet engines running along the back of like a, F-14 or something like that. So then we go right there. That gives us our midpoint, and then I would want it to be probably like right there. So then, okay, I'm gonna try to make this cut. As precise as we can. Just going to use an X-Acto knife to see if we can get a little bit more precision. Okay, so now we made this cut. So we have kind of a cup that we have cut into, and the idea was it's going to run along the side. So you'd have eyes, but we're going to have to make additional cuts to kind of match that profile so it sits in there a little better. Let's see if we can make that happen. Cool. Let's see if that fits. How did I get that off? Oh, that's kind of cool. With how wide his eye. See, this is the thing that I like doing about just kind of creating straight ahead, is that as you start getting things in place, it reminds you of other things. And then that becomes a driving force for the character, for the type of character it is. But it's like, I wasn't initially planning on this, but I wanted it to be friendly. And as soon as you get bigger eyes in, it starts looking a little bit friendlier than the original. Without it, that kind of looks like it could be menacing, and you could easily make that like more menacing, as mentioned before. If it was like you had like a straight visor or something, could feel more like RoboCop. But then you get this guy in, and if he has eyes, and especially if they're wide, what does that remind you of? It almost reminds me of like a chameleon, with like those, with how wide spaced and big their eyes are. So that'd be kind of cool as a driving force for a robot character that's like a robot chameleon. Instantly saying those two words together gets me excited. It's like, what the hell would a robot chameleon act like? What would it look like? What would its abilities be? If it was a robot and a chameleon, it kind of reminds me of like Predator, but in like robot form. And if it was like a friendlier character but could like vanish into scenes and in and out of scenes, that to me just, that's awesome. And that's, you know, that's where I nerd out. Let's see. I think it'll sit better if I cut these down a little bit more. Now I wonder, should be able to just cut, yeah. Now we're getting somewhere. That's fitting a little bit nicer. It's looking good on top. Let's see. So that fits good on top. It's just this guy. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be sick. Okay. What is? I think that's good. That'll be good. Okay, so then now that we have one side, we'll just template it. Essentially, just take the piece that we already cut out, trace, and repeat the steps. Ooh, we should take into consideration where the seam is so we can match that. So we would want to do it on this side. It's kind of funny thinking about that. It's like watching the Muppets and like Jim Henson puppet builds. When they do that, they're trying to hide the seams with the felt and like how they stitch it. This is the exact opposite. If you're making kind of like a robot character, those seams are opportunities for like dirt to fall into, and it just makes it look even cooler. All right. Let's same thing as before. We're kind of cutting out a shape so that it fits on there. It makes me wonder if I could. That worked out. Note to self. This thing works pretty good. So I can cut and not feel like I'm gonna cut my hand. Yeah, buddy. That's a good sign. Okay. Still. Okay. on here and make sure that they're now he's got eyes. I need a new hot glue gun. This thing is busted. kind of sitting further in. Still. Still not stuck. Should be good. Okay, that's better. Stuffy's good. Yeah. He's got eyes now. So I think I'm really gonna lean into the chameleon robot idea. Maybe give him like, I don't know, the chameleons have like those little things on top of the head, but that could be kind of cool. But for right now, we'll let that be what it is. And I'm gonna get a new hot glue gun because this thing is a piece. But let me know what you guys think, and any ideas that you might have on like building out the character, what kind of personality he should have or she should have. Hit me up in the comments. Later. And as always, thank you for watching.